Welcome to the video lesson for lesson 4 found in the Mayron Cole Piano Method, level 1. We're going to be looking at pages 33 to 44. So there's a lot of information we're going to cover in this section here. But with this lesson, we're going to actually start off with a fun sheet for you to complete. And this is going to be a identification page. Almost looks like a clock here with the keyboard in the middle. What you're going to do on this page is you're going to line up the letter with where it lives on the keyboard. So for example, I'm going to start off here with F. I'm just going to draw a line to the F key. And then I'm going to go around this way. So there's D. I want to line up with B. You can do this in any direction. You could start off and do all of the F's first and then all of the D's. Or do all of one certain letter, or you could go around to the right, or you could go around to the left. You can do whatever you want as long as you are connecting the letters to where they live on the keyboard here. So by the time you get done with this, might look a little messy, but that's okay. Learning is a messy thing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just complete this here, so I only have 2 more. And by the time you get done, that's something that you should have right there. Again, looks a little messy, but that's what we want right there. Okay, so you can go back and pause the video or rewind if you want to see all the answers, but we're going to get through the information here because we're going to start looking at music on the staff here. So we're going to go through, a lot of this is just talking right here. So let's go through fun facts about music here real quick. So here, we're going to start reading from what's called the grand staff or 2 staffs. So all the notes are going to be put on the staff from here on out in the book. The right hand is going to play notes in the high staff, and then the left hand is going to play notes in the low staff. So if you think about that left hand, this is my left hand right here, we'll play the low staff or the lower notes. Left and low both start with the letter L. This little symbol right here, I'm going to grab a circle so you can see it. This little symbol right here is called the G clef because it was originally a big letter G. We could also call that the high clef or the treble clef. I want to refer to it as the treble clef. Then this is the F clef. We call that the F clef because it was originally a big letter F a long time ago. We can also call that the bass clef. I'll call it the bass clef, or we could call it the low clef as well. Next, we're going to start talking a little bit more about the grand staff. So we have a couple things in here. The staff is made up of 5 lines and 4 spaces. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So there's your 5 lines and 4 spaces. Then the high staff and the low staff are joined together with what's called the brace. So the brace almost looks like a little fancy mustache. It connects the 2 staffs, and the reason why we do that is because if there's other instruments that are playing in the music, we know that one instrument is sharing those 2 staffs right there. Okay, so when we put the staffs together, we call that the grand staff. So anything that's put together there is called the grand staff. Bar lines divide the staff into measures. Okay, so when we see these here, the up and down lines like that I'm pointing to, that's called the bar line. A double bar line, I'm going to move over here. Double bar line here means the end of the song. So when you see the double bar line, that's the end of your song right there. The 2 numbers that you see, get my arrow again here, it's called the time signature. So the time signature basically tells us how many notes or how many beats, how many counts are going to be in each measure and what type of note is going to get that count, because it could be an 1/8 note, it could be a 1/4 note, it could be a 1/2 note. It all just depends. Next, what we're going to look at is notes. So notes are actually divided into 2 different parts. We have the note head. Sometimes I call that the circle or the donut or the hole. So the note head, and then the stem. I call the stem a stick sometimes. So you'll hear me refer to that. And then all notes are either placed on are what called either line notes or space notes. So what we have right there is when we get to a line note, the line is going to go through the circle or through the note head. Then the space note, the note is actually sandwiched between two lines. So if you think about it, space and sandwiched are both start with S. So if you see the note in between two lines, it's sandwiched between two lines. It's the space note right there. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to go through this worksheet. I'm actually going to split it in half here to talk about these. So we'll start off with questions 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to go through these together. So you can grab a writing utensil and fill these out with me. So number 1, piano music is written on two staffs called the happy or the grand staff. We call that the grand staff. So I'm going to go ahead and put a G right there. Number 2, the right or the left hand plays the high staff notes. The right hand does. So I'm going to put a right just to save time, or an R, but you're going to head and write the word right. Up here for grand, you're going to write the word grand. Number 3, the right or the left hand plays the low staff notes. So that's actually the left hand will play the low staff notes. This, number 4, is the F or the G clef because it was originally a big letter F or G. G is the answer, so you can write a G right there. Okay, you want to pause the video real quick? That way you can catch up with your answers. And then we'll go ahead and move on here. And we'll look at 5 to 9. So 5, this is since we answered the other one, we know that this is the F clef here because G is already an answer. So that's the F clefs. Each staff has 4 or 5 lines. It's 5 lines. And then each staff has 4 or 5 spaces. So that's going to be 4 right there. Staff is divided into measures by clefs or bar lines. These are going to be bar lines. So you're going to write bar line. I'm going to write BL for short. All of the notes are either line notes or space notes. Yes or no? Yes. And then the double bar line means the end of the song. Yes. Okay. Again, you can pause right there to get all your answers written down. Again, bar line, you're going to write that out. And I'm going to go ahead and clear, and we're going to keep on going in the lesson here. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and skip through this. It's basically talking about how we're going to be reading notes and everything. So that's more for me as a teacher and your teacher as well. But let's go ahead. Let's start taking a look at middle C and D. So this is the same C and D that you've played in Ticking Clock, School Bells, Green Toed Boogie, and Yellow Daisies. But we're going to place them on the staff now. So we're going to take a look at, we're going to skip number 1. We're going to take a look at number 2 here. So the middle C is a line note, but it floats between two staffs. So if you see right here, it's kind of its own little island. So it's got its own little line, and it's asking you to draw 3 middle C's next to it. So what that would look like, I'm just going to draw 3 circles. And then I'm going to draw 3 little lines right there that go in the middle of the circles, because the middle C right there is a line note. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and move on here. Middle D is a space note. D kind of hangs out below. So C is a floater note. D hangs out below. So I'm going to go ahead and draw 3 more D's hanging out below there, the staff. So there's your middle C and D. And then right here, we're going to do an activity where basically we're going to connect the notes from the staff to where they live on the keyboard. And then we're going to write the names in there. So we're going to start off by writing the names first. So we have our C written in right there, and then we're going to write in another C. So that note right there hangs out below. We're going to call that one D. This one is C. That one's D. This one's D. And then that one's C as well. So then we're going to draw lines to the keyboard. So that's middle C's again, and then D, and then C, and then D, and then D, and then C. Okay, so then you can, if you want to pause real quick, get those answers written down, and then we're going to go ahead and move on. And then we'll skip that question there. When we get to the steam engine and Yucky Waltz, there are 2 note heads with 1 stem. So when you see a note that has 2 note heads on it, 2 circles, you're going to play them at the very same time. So any note that shares a stem is going to be played at the same time. Number 5, what we're going to do, we're going to write the counts underneath the notes. So a quarter note equals 1 beat. So it's going to look like this. We already have the 1, 2, 3 written under the dotted half note. So we're going to write another 1 right there, and then a 1-2, and then a 1-2, and another 1, 2, 3, and then a 1. And then for the whole note, remember that's 4 counts. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to play this. So I'm going to find a C key on my keyboard. I'm going to count to 4 and start playing this one. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that is the counting exercise there for number 5. Next, we're going to go ahead. So that was number 6. Next in the lesson is going to be See the Sea by the Sea. We do have this video for the song. It is linked in the description below, where we describe and play through the song. We also have that for Switch Engine as well. And then again for Kimmy's Tune. And again for the Yucky Waltz right there. So you can click those links to watch the video and play along there. Last but not least, we're going to take a look at this fun sheet right here. Now, we're not going to go through this because it's a little bit more involved. But what you're going to do is that you're going to pick 7 of your favorite colors. And then you're going to color each of the keys here on this page. So top keyboard, bottom keyboard. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, try to zoom out so you can see them. And you're going to pick one color. The first color that you pick, you're going to color all your B's that color. Then the next color, you're going to color all your F's that color. Third color, you're going to color all your C's that color. Then next, the fourth color is going to be E. Your fifth color is going to be G. Your sixth color is going to be D. And then your last color, your seventh color is going to be coloring all the A keys in there. Now, I won't tell your teacher if you use white as a color. So that'll be our little secret. So 7 of your favorite colors, and you're going to color these keyboards. So they're going to look pretty colorful. And that's going to take us to the end of lesson 4. You can feel free to rewind and rewatch any of the lessons here. But that's going to be it for lesson 4 of the Mayron Cole Piano Method Level 1.